Welcome, beautiful people, to the Taking Over the Photo Pit podcast. This has been on my goals to bring back the podcast after 3 long years. It has been almost to the date exactly 3 years since the last episode of Taking Over the Photo Pit podcast. I am so sorry. Life got in the way. Things started getting back to normal after the pandemic, and this podcast was truly about bringing people together during that time. I had so much fun with it, and I've had people reach out to me about the podcast since it stopped, and I really just wanted to bring it back and really engage with other people that I didn't have the chance to talk to earlier. This podcast has always been about creating a community and having people's voices heard, hearing everyone's story, regardless of what walk in their career of music photography they're in, and just highlighting everyone's skills and what they're doing, and I've just had so much fun with it. So we are officially back, and there will be new episodes coming every week. Now, talking about this episode, I brought back Shannon Wilk to tell us her story of what she's been doing over the past 3 years. Now, Shannon was one of the first people that I interviewed on the Taking Over the Photo Pit podcast. So it was really nice to have this kind of come full circle, have her come back as soon as the podcast started. So really exciting to have her here. She was an incredible photographer when we talked 3 years ago, and I'm so excited to have her tell her story and her journey over the past few years, and we're just gonna jump right into it because this was so much fun for me to just sit down with her, who I now consider her a friend of mine, after we met over the podcast, and I'm just gonna let her tell her story. So much fun to have her. Thank you so much for listening, and I'm so excited to have this podcast back in 2024. Well, hi, Shannon. I am so excited to have you back. I feel like this has been a wild ride for both of us, and I'm just so excited to have you along this journey and have you back on our first podcast episode back after the pandemic and all of the craziness. And I'm just so honored to have you here. So thank you so much, first of all.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me to do this again. And I didn't realize I was the first one back. That's cool. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited to talk again. It's been a really long time, and I think probably we're both in very different places now. So it'll be cool to see the difference for sure.
Yeah. So in preparation for this episode, I listened to our old episode, and the whole time I was just like, oh my gosh, we were babies during this episode. You were actually 13 years old when I interviewed you last time, which wild to me. And that was in August 2020. So we were thick in the middle of the pandemic. I know we talked a lot about shutdown and actually things actively being shut down, because there were still tours that were planned that were, we assumed that they weren't happening. Anyway, thick in the pandemic. Super curious about just a recap of what you've been doing since 2020. How has the world been opening up been for you? What have you been doing? Obviously, you were in high school during this time too, so there was a lot of crazy changes for you. So just tell us how it's been. I'm very excited to hear about this.
Yeah, it's been a lot. It's been crazy. I definitely think I hit the ground running after everything started happening again after the pandemic, which is really, really good. It's just been so I for those who haven't watched the last episode or anything, I started my career about 2 years before the pandemic started. So it was just kind of the getting things going phase, where then it was okay, I'm completely shut down for X amount of time. And so once I was able to get back into it, I really just, hit the ground running, and it's been uphill ever since. But I did the math, and I realized last time we did this podcast, I was either just starting or just had started high school, and I am now graduated, which, to those that are confused that it is currently February when we're recording this, saying that I graduated a semester early. So
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah,
you're
that's
smart, you're graduating early, you're moving on to all these different things, and it's just it's so fun. One of the things about this podcast is it's so fun to watch the journeys of the people that I've been
hmm
talking to. And I think yours is like the craziest one because you also just started playing bass, if I
hmm
remember correctly,
Oh my
when
gosh,
we
that's
last
crazy.
spoke. So, like, I have seen you play bass performance wise twice now at the Whiskey
Yeah.
Go Go. So, like, what has your music career been like? Because that was just starting and you were kind of doing
Yeah.
photography, kind of doing music. How has
Um,
that changed? What are you leaning into?
well, so definitely music has become more of my focus now for sure. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, that's been like, oh my gosh, it's been crazy. That's gotten super busy. My music has it's been like a really big up and down, which I feel like it always is in anything in the music business, but it's been quite an adventure, both good and bad. But now it's at a really good place. I feel like with the two of my bands. So yeah, I have two original bands going on right now, Ultraviolet and Broken Road. And yeah, I played at the Whiskey twice now, which is insane. Especially being from the East Coast. Um, but yeah, I just did 5 shows in Nashville last week, which is really exciting. Especially because I'm moving there in 6-ish months. I guess that kind of leads into your next question, but yeah, so that was really cool. But yeah, it's really been kind of growing very rapidly. So it's a really exciting time for me, I feel like.
Yeah. So your music career, that's been like really kind of your focus right now.
Mhm.
You mentioned that you're moving to Nashville. Very excited for you. Was really hoping you were going to come to LA, but whatever. It's fine. Uh
It's too expensive. I love it there, but it's too expensive.
it is very expensive. I get it. um how has like music and photography worked for you? Are you leaning into one towards the other? Does being in the music world, like, does it help you coordinate better with photographers, or are you pickier now that you're a musician? You're like, I want this for shots.
Yeah, that's such an interesting question. I feel like they definitely go hand in hand. Like I feel like more so the photography has helped with my music because that was kind of my plan. I don't
Okay.
know if I talked about that in my last episode on this, but I started doing interviews in photography mainly to get connections for when I was like quote unquote good enough to be like in a band and stuff. So like that was my path to networking for like more so what I'm doing now. So it's really interesting to see like how that's kind of how I started. And that was the idea of that was to network for what I'm doing now. And now it's like seeing those connections actually coming to fruition for my music stuff, which is really cool because, 11-year-old me was apparently smart enough to
Very
figure that
smart.
out. But yeah, so it's really cool to see that. But definitely like, yeah, shots wise, like knowing like what I want personally for like content at least, like it's really good to know like that going into like shoots. Obviously, like if certain bands are working with companies and whatnot, like you want to focus on that, which is something, I feel like a lot of photographers might not think of, um, unless they have, that specific knowledge from the music side.
Mhm.
I guess like mainly it's the networking thing. Like when I'm networking, for example, at NAM, like some people I know from photography are like seeing my music stuff now, or like people that have seen me play are like, oh, you're a photographer too. Like maybe I want to do my band's photos. Like I've had a few bands like that, so it's really cool. Like I feel like in this business you kind of have to be a jack of all trades to make a living. So
Yeah.
it's definitely been good to have my hands in all these different aspects of the industry. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely really beneficial for me to do it
Yeah.
all, and it all kind of intertwines. It's also I feel like maybe more so than photography, but like the journalism aspect, like you kind of see the two sides of it as a musician. Like you don't want to shit talk musicians and stuff, say bad things about them, which is cool because like certain publications I work with are like very pro musician. Like
Hmm.
they're like we don't want to like if it's gonna be negative, like we just don't want to publish it. Which I feel like it goes directly against like the actual journalistic ethics, but
Standards,
like
yeah.
yeah, but but it's cool, from the musician perspective where they're not, publishing like the quote unquote drama that like certain outlets will put out, or, just like really aggressively negative reviews and stuff like that. So because like obviously as a musician from the other side you see like everyone has their nights, everyone has the things that go wrong, and it's obviously
Mhm.
a lot of the time not the actual artist's fault, but then the media comes in and bins it,
Rips it, yeah.
yeah, so from that perspective I see that also.
It's really interesting because one of the things that I realized when I started working closely with bands that I was like friends with
Hmm.
was the like, I don't have another word for this, but like the insecurity of some photos
Yeah.
and photographers being like, this is a great photo. I'm going to post this photo.
Hmm.
And the person, the artist in the photo looks absolutely awful. It's like a
Yeah.
weird pose or a weird face or something like that.
Yeah.
And before I would look at things and be like, oh, great photo, and not really pay attention that much. And then, like,
Hmm.
the whole Beyonce thing at
Yeah.
what was that, the Super Bowl? Was that the Super
I
Bowl? Whatever.
maybe. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
know what you're talking about though.
But yeah, it's like really interesting now to be like working closely with people and being like,
Hmm.
okay, no, we should be saying nice things. We should be
Hmm.
supporting people. We should be making them look good, you know?
Yeah.
And it's really funny to me that like working with people, I'm like, look, if you don't like that kind of pose, if you never want me to photograph you from your right side, fine. I don't need to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
So it's really
Exactly.
interesting to have like, the personal aspect in photography and
Hmm.
be like, no, this is what I want to put forward and this is how
Yeah.
it should be portrayed and stuff. And people have bad nights. Sometimes they have bad hair days and go and put
Hmm.
on a show and don't want any photos. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, even like for me, like like even in the studio, like seeing how certain like how different people have like different things they like want sort of shown off or like hidden, I guess, in certain photos, and like it's really interesting to see like the difference from person to person, and that's like I guess that kind of goes to show like one, you can never please anybody, but also like you kind of have to please everybody.
You do.
You know what I mean?
It is crazy. I've definitely like returned full albums. I'm like, these were great. And then
Hmm.
the artist is like,
No,
I'm not
just
feeling
kidding.
any of this. And
Yeah.
I'm like, why? Is it something to do with the photos? I'm like, sometimes it has nothing to do with me.
Hmm.
Sometimes it has everything to do with me and my style. Like maybe they didn't
Hmm.
like being photographed like an upwards angle and stuff. I hear that a
Yeah.
lot.
Hmm.
And it's just like, okay, I'll learn. Like, you want to give me
Yeah.
another chance? Or like, are we, that's it? Like, you find
Hmm.
a different photographer. So it's really interesting to like,
Hmm.
you really have to lean into what people like. So do
Yeah.
you have like your favorite photographer? So you don't have to tell us who it is. But do you have like certain people that you're like, absolutely, I like working with these people. I hit them up whenever I'm in this city, or how does that
Hmm.
work? You said that you have like your network that you've built
Hmm.
now.
Yeah.
Are these people you're hitting up constantly, often, just hanging out with and continuing that networking, or how do you
Hmm.
network now?
Yeah. Well, to answer your first question, I mean, definitely like I feel like Monsters and Rockers is really good for meeting photographers all around because
Mm,
people are from all over the country there, which is really cool. So I have like that network, and also just like people I've messaged back and forth with on Instagram and whatnot. It's cool. That's I guess another it goes back to your other question, how the music and photography have connected. Like when I'm playing certain cities, I hit up like my photographer friends, from whatever wherever I'm playing. Like LA, I had a bunch of photographer friends come out and shoot, such as yourself. um, but yeah, so I guess like in that aspect they're very connected. And then just like how do I network in general? Every show I'm photographing, I try to talk to people, which is cool. Like it's gonna be cool moving to Nashville because like here, I'm in Connecticut right now. So like in the tri-state area music scene, like all the photographers kind of know each other. We're all kind of shooting the same shows and stuff. So
mm.
every time we go to a show, it's like all the same people. It's really cool. but it's gonna be cool to move to Nashville because it's like a whole new group of people. So it'll be as an introvert, it sounds like my nightmare, but it'll be a fun challenge, I think, to go and network with the whole new scene. So I think that'll be cool. But yeah, mostly just for a long time I was too shy to talk to people, which I think I was probably still at that point last time we spoke. But I kind of just learned that I have to force myself to talk to people, and eventually I just get used to it, because
Yep.
that's kind of the whole, once you're in it for a while, you kind of learn that that's the whole backbone of the industry. Everybody knows everybody, and that's how people get gigs. It's how you get, clients as a photographer. It's just talking to different people, talking to bands, talking to other photographers, whatever, because then not only will you, and hopefully your peers will also recommend you if they're not able to do a gig. So it's just that kind of thing. And as for like keeping up with it, I always, if I see people is commenting online or messaging people, hey, how are you doing? What's new? What are you working on? Like that type of thing. Or if I'm coming to their city, we'll hang out, whatever, like stuff like that. It's just like, and then also that builds like beyond just like a two different, photographer relationship. It becomes more of like an actual friendship and camaraderie. So it's
Hmm.
really, it's cool in that way. And most people are pretty cool. There are some bad scenes, but most people are pretty cool.
It's really funny because you have like the two kind of career paths that
Mhm.
require a lot of networking. So,
Yes.
like commenting and social media and reaching out to people and talking to people as a musician to build that
Mhm.
fan base. And
Yeah.
then to what you said of like same sort of thing, but building that network in photography. Because even for
Mhm.
me, like the past few years, some of the reasons I've gotten like bigger paid gigs only being recommended from other photographers. Someone
Yep.
else saying, like, I can't do this,
Mhm.
like, talk to her.
Yeah.
And then building that, like, my own reputation with those teams and then
Mhm.
getting that. But it all started from an intro of a different photographer. So
Yeah.
the
Same.
idea of networking is crazy. But to your point, too, I think a lot of us photographers are introverts. So you
Mhm.
kind of just have to force
Well,
yourself
yeah.
to be doing
Exactly.
this.
It's the reason why we're behind the camera and not in front of it, you know?
Yep. Yep.
Which is really funny because you still have to talk to people and you still have to put yourself out there on social media and everything. So, but yeah, it's a lot, especially for me. Like I'm doing all the social media for not only my like photography page, which I've been majorly slacking on. We don't have to talk about that. My photography page, my personal like music page, which is what I've been really pushing, and also my band page. Like I manage my band's social media pretty much entirely myself, so that's also like a lot. So my band always makes fun of me that I'm always on my phone. It's like I'm trying to keep up with the social media
Yeah.
struggle.
No, it's crazy, but you kind of have to do that. That's
Hmm.
how you gain followers and fans, bring people out to your show and all of
Right.
that. Uh,
Especially now with like how the industry is with gigs and stuff, like you have to bring out X amount of people for all the shows and get X amount of people to buy tickets, so it's like you really got to be pushing it online a lot and sending messages constantly, and it's a lot.
yeah, it really is. And I know that I work with a lot of like local bands
Hmm.
and I try to kind of do the same because I
Hmm.
know how hard it is. It
Right.
like if you're shooting big bands, you don't really get it until you're
Hmm.
like in these small venues working with
Right.
like really brand new bands and starting out bands of
Right.
like how difficult it is for them to A, get paid, and B, even be able to show up at some of these venues. They're hard to
Hmm.
get into, hard to like play at.
Hmm.
And I'll be messaging people too. I'm like, I'm photographing tonight. Come out. It's only $5 at the door,
That's
we need
awesome.
bodies in the room. But
Yeah.
like I, I think that both me and you have talked about this. We're big fans of
Hmm.
music. Like we want to
Yeah.
support the community, want to bring people out. And me and you, I think, listen to the same style of music anyway.
Hmm.
So it's supporting that crowd and that scene.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Especially because like there's not also a big young generation into the kind of music we're into. So yeah, it's definitely hard, at least like for my bands to pull people to shows. It's always like trying to get an older crowd because so
Yep.
many young people are not into, rock music and stuff. So it's really interesting trying to gauge like the marketing of it all really. It's just one of those things, like I'm always interested in learning new things for the industry. So right now it's just like learning how to market and
Hmm.
quote unquote brand the band.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, it's a really interesting thing because you kind of have to have like your own brand or your own like thing to break through the noise that is the industry now.
Exactly. So, with you moving out to Nashville, when are you moving?
So I keep telling people I turn 18 in July and I move in August.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So
Okay. That's gonna
that's
be a
where the
wild
timeline
summer.
is. Yeah.
Wild summer for you. Um, what's next when you move to Nashville? First of all, are you excited, terrified, happy? I feel like
Yes.
moving moving
Yes.
across the country is, I mean, huge, and
Yeah.
this will be your first time moving out.
Yeah.
So,
Um Yeah. So I'm very excited. Wow, this is like the first time I'm actually talking about this. I'm like really excited for sure. Like I've been planning this for several years now, so it's
yeah.
really exciting to finally do it. Um, I was getting really nervous, to be honest, leading up to me going there for the first time because, for a couple of years now I've been planning this and I had never been to Nashville. So like it's kind of scary when I would like, because I would tell people, I'd be like, oh, I'm moving to Nashville after I graduate. And they'd be like, oh, yeah, it's really cool down there and like all this stuff. And I'm like, that's cool. I've never been there. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I'm crazy. It's fine. But that's kind of my whole life philosophy and how I kind of do things is just like I close my eyes and jump into the fire.
Love
That's
it.
just kind of how I am.
If it
um,
makes you feel better, when I moved to LA, I had never been to LA. I grew
okay,
up in
great.
California and I never went to LA.
That's
And
crazy.
then I moved from New York to LA. And the
Wow.
first day in LA was the day that we moved. And
Wow.
it took a bit. I will say it took me a bit to be like, hey, this is what's meant for me. But I think
Mhm,
that everyone has like a mover's remorse, if you
mhm.
will. But I can see how overwhelming that would be to like go visit a place that
Yeah.
you're putting so much stock into that you're like,
Yeah.
am I going to love this? Give it
Mhm.
time, but I think that you're gonna have a
Yeah.
great time. But I
Well,
completely
yeah. I
understand.
mean, especially like so I went to LA for a week in January and then I was home for 2 weeks and then I went to Nashville for a week. So after LA, I was like, man, I wish I could move here. But like I'm moving with my drummer for Broken Road. And the two of us uh neither of us can afford to live in LA. Let's put it that way. So we both came home from LA and we're like, damn, it'd be great to move there. But it's just not feasible, especially like if we had to come back home, like we have to drive all the way across the country. That's like a lot and very expensive also.
Yeah.
So for sure it was after that we're like, damn, we can't move to LA. And then we're like, okay, well I'm going to Nashville now. So hopefully that's good because I'm set on that already. So but yeah, it ended up being amazing. I didn't want to come back. Like I was like, how can I just make it so I can move now? Like I love it there. I'm so excited to do that like full time. It's just awesome. I met so many amazing people. Yeah, I'm just really excited.
That's
But
awesome.
also, of course there's that part of me that's like, holy shit, like this is crazy. Um, and it's also like all of my quote unquote peers, by peers I mean like the people my age,
Hmm.
which really aren't my peers in the grand scheme of things, but like
Oh,
for the sake of what I'm about to say, these people that are like my age, like my peers, are all going to college, and so it's like, okay, well, you know what your life's gonna look like relatively for the next 2 to 4 years. I'm moving to Nashville in 6 months, and I have no idea what it's gonna be. So it's like people always tell me they're like, "Oh my god, you have so much direction in your life, like you have your career and everything." And it's like, yeah, great. but there's nothing concrete about it. Like, I'm moving to Nashville. That's all I know. What's happening after that? Like, I'm gonna get there and get a job, and then I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
ideally, I'll be doing music stuff. Like, I want to tour, but obviously that doesn't happen at the flick of a switch. So yeah, it's gonna be a big hustle, but I'm excited. That's what I'm all about. So it's definitely nerve-wracking, because I have literally no idea what I'm walking into, but it's also exciting in the same way.
Yeah. So, two questions. When you're in Nashville, are there band members of yours that are also in Nashville and or moving to Nashville
Hmm.
that you're going to be working more with? Because I thought your bands were like split up, that like everyone's in a different area.
Yeah, it's chaotic. My band Ultraviolet, they're all from New Jersey, which is about 2 hours for me. So I always drive down there and we rehearse there. But when I move to Nashville, basically the plan is we'll do runs and dates up here I could fly back for like a week or whatever, and we'll do
Mm-hmm.
dates up here, and then they'll come down and we'll do dates in Nashville and the
Okay.
surrounding area. As for Broken Road, I'm moving with my drummer, so half of us will be there. We're actually auditioning singers right now. And I actually found a couple of people in Nashville that were really interested.
Great.
So we've been going through that process right now. So it would be really cool to have 3 out of the 4 of us living in Nashville. That would work out really nicely. And then our guitar player, he is willing to just fly down whenever for gigs. And then obviously we can fly home for gigs too. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's just kind of also that's also a big thing, is that's going to be a lot to take on too. It's going to be a lot of planning and a lot of Zoom calls and phone calls and texting back and forth. But, thankfully we have that capability to hopefully hold it together.
Yeah. No, that's super exciting. It'll be really cool if you can have that core band in
Mhm.
Nashville to kind of like do local shows and stuff with.
For sure.
Um, Very exciting. And then my other question for like your move, are you going to be bringing your camera with you? Are you going to try and
Of
do
course.
photography there? And what does
Yeah.
that look like for you?
Yeah, so actually I already have a couple of shows on the schedule for later this year in Nashville, like after I
Oh,
move.
wow. Okay.
Because like I've been watching as tours get announced, and I'm like, there's stuff getting announced for up around here where I'm like, oh no, I'm not gonna be living here anymore. But in the same way, there's also tours getting announced where there's dates in Nashville and stuff after I'm gonna be moving. So it's really exciting. Yeah, there's some shows I'm gonna be shooting when I'm there for sure. I'm really excited for that. I'll be the only contributor for the magazine I write for that's in that region, so that'll be cool.
So you get the kind of pick of everything
Yeah,
out there.
yeah, I get control over that, so that'll be really cool. Um, so yeah, I'm definitely gonna be shooting when I'm down there, and plus, like, it'll be great because there are so many musicians down there that I'm hoping I'll get a lot of promo shoots booked too,
Yeah.
as like one of my side hustles, which I'm also doing right now. I'm booking more. Yeah, so I'll definitely be bringing cameras. That's like, of course, I don't want to stop doing that.
Yeah.
But I'm a little nervous in terms of it being more of a like major music city. The region I'm in right now, a lot of shows come through here, but there's not a ton of people because like it's Connecticut. There's not that many people here. But like for example, like I live an hour from New York City, so like when we apply for shows there and stuff, it's like you kind of never know because it's such a big city and there's so many people that want in. So I'm a little concerned how that'll go for Nashville with it being such a big music mecca, in terms of actually getting approved for stuff. But again, that's yet to be seen, so I'll have to see how that goes once I'm actually there.
Yeah. And you said you're a contributing photographer, so you work with a publication.
Hmm.
Do they book you out for shows? You just send them, this is what I want, or do you do your own reach out and coordination?
So typically it's on me to do that. How it works for the few different publications I have, if the editor has a good relationship with a certain publicist for whatever
Mm,
band I'm applying for, then he'll go through them because they recognize his email
yeah.
as opposed to mine.
Yep.
So if that exists, then it'll be more of an editor thing. But most shows I'll just say, hey, here's what I want to cover, because we have so few contributors in the States because my main publication is based in the UK.
Awesome.
So there's only a handful of us in the States. So most of the tours it'll just be one person applying for the tour because there's not
Mhm.
enough of us. So I don't really have to worry about that. But yeah, I just let them know what I'm interested in applying for and just CC the editor and all my emails. But it's pretty cool. I like actually doing it myself. I feel like a lot of photographers don't want to deal with the emailing. I prefer to do it myself so I can get the replies right away.
I feel the same way. Once I started
Mhm,
asking on my own, I was like, this is so much better. I know right
mhm.
away. I can ask the questions I want to ask,
Right.
and then also you have those contacts. Like they
Yeah,
know you
exactly.
now and your name.
Yeah.
So
That's a good thing as well.
I always like that too. I get the idea of like big city, they're only going to allow so many people in a pit.
Mhm,
It's funny and surprising to me, and obviously I don't know Nashville, but like here in LA,
mhm,
how small the industry actually is, and that you'll
mhm.
see people over and over again, and you'll be like, okay, so I'm going to photograph Iron Maiden. I know these 5 people will be in the pit with me.
Yeah.
And it's just so funny how small the like community is that you start to
Mhm.
know who's who wherever you're at. Uh,
Yeah.
so that's always exciting to like learn about that and build from that. But I think that pits are getting bigger. They're allowing more
Mhm.
people in pits.
Yeah. Which is good and bad in a lot of ways.
I agree with you. It's sometimes good, sometimes bad, but
Yes.
oh, so crazy. Well, the last question that I had for you is to quickly talk about the Monsters of Rock cruise. You mentioned it
Mhm.
earlier. We mentioned it last time in the podcast. You do the Monsters of Rock cruise. Isn't that like next week or
Yeah, I
something
leave
like
I leave tomorrow. I
that?
so
I
it
timed this
actually
out so well.
yes, the ship leaves on Saturday, but I leave for Florida tomorrow just in case of snow or whatever. We leave a
Yeah.
couple of days early. But yeah, so I leave for that tomorrow, which I thought was funny that you were asking this at this time specifically.
So funny. So the thing that I wanted to ask about, like, is how has that helped your career? Like, you've been on this media team for a few years now.
Yeah, yeah, the last time I was on this podcast was my first year doing it.
Yep.
Being on the media team at least. I've been going on this cruise since I was 11 years old, which is
Yeah.
insane. But yeah, to answer your question, it's really been a crucial thing for me in terms of my career. Even just like going on the cruise in general, it's kind of like NAM. It was NAM for me before I started going to NAM.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so it was for a long time, it was my big networking thing, and it still is a big networking thing for me. That's like the first year I started doing journalism and stuff. All of the interviews I were doing were people like artists I met on the cruise. Like it
Mm,
was it was very much my NAM until I was able to actually go to NAM. But it was a huge networking thing for me. I wouldn't have been able to do what I do without it, honestly. Like it allowed me to connect with so many people, like not only artists, but also just, other photographers who were cheering me on when I needed it, when I was
yep.
first starting and whatnot. But yeah, and being on the media team, like they're so supportive. Everyone, like, we have a great camaraderie between all of us, and it's really great. Now I have two of my closest friends on the team with me, so it's really awesome to have that. And it's like we all look forward all year to seeing each other, so it's really cool.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so it's just, it's everything, to me as like a fan of that genre, specifically like the 80s hard rock. That's like the perfect thing for that. And it's like going so many years in a row, you make so many friends, and it's just like a big family reunion every year. It's so awesome. And yeah, it's great now. Like for me, I played last year at the Jam at the theater, which was really a big full circle moment for me, playing like the biggest venue on the ship. And I found out like 2 hours before that I was doing it. So that was probably the
Crazy.
biggest full circle moment I've ever had. But it's just such an amazing experience. This year I'm like fully jam packed schedule wise because I'm playing at 2 jams. I'm doing photography on the media team, and I'm guitar teching for Black and Blue. So it's like I'm literally running constantly, which is usually how it is, but even more so this year, I feel like. But I'm so excited. It's so much fun.
Crazy. I'm so excited for you. I mean, amazing. Well, I know that I've kept you on this podcast for a long time now. So I want to wrap up this interview. It's always lovely talking to you. I have so much fun whenever I get to see you and get to see your content. And I feel like you've
Yeah.
just done so much. And I'm excited to see what the next like 3.5 years will look like for you.
Right?
As you said, you don't have like anything like formal structured coming up, so you have
Hmm.
like kind of this open slate, which is so exciting. But
Yes.
in our last like minute, quick, like what is the best bit of advice that you've learned over these past few years since we last talked that you want to
Hmm.
pass along to anyone listening?
I feel like I might have said this last time, but this is like my go-to when people ask me that is essentially don't say no for them, let them say no to you. So that's kind of goes with my cover my eyes, jump at the fire kind of
Yeah.
thing. It's just like, for example, if you're like like me applying to Photograph Kiss, for example, don't be like, oh, I'm not gonna get approved for that and just never do anything. Apply because you don't know if they're gonna like let them be the one to say no. Don't say no for them. So that's been a huge thing for me, not only in photography but also in music. Just like asking people, hey, do you want to do a collab? Do you want to work together? It's just you never know the off chance someone might say yes, and it might change the course of your career. Like truly ask, just ask.
Amazing.
Don't say no for them. Let them say no to you.
Amazing. I love it. Well, Shannon, thank you so much for joining the podcast. It's always lovely to have you on
Yeah,
here, and
thank you for
hopefully, I'll
having
have you
me.
again in 3 years.
For
Awesome.
sure.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Yeah.